please stay. We have, Noelle has graciously agreed to spend another 30 minutes with us answering your questions. If you stay, maybe you'll get some extra tips to take home with you. So please feel free to stay. We'd love for you to join us. Thank you again. Awesome. That was awesome. Thank you so much, Noelle. Thank you, Felipe. That was great.
Thank you, everyone.
So any other questions? I mean, let's see, did we, is there any other questions from the audience that we didn't answer?
Or follow-up questions?
Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm Kim.
Hi, Kim.
Can I speak up?
Of course.
I'd like to ask the audience a question, okay? In terms of what you received today, the value of what you received today, how would you rate the value of what you received today from 1 star to 5 stars? 1 star being just a little or to none, or 5 stars, you got a lot? Could you let us know in the chat or unmute? 5. Thank you so much. Wow.
Wow.
Are you rating yourselves, or are you rating the speakers and the moderator and the interviewer? Did you really? Okay, can you tell us what you found so valuable about this talk show? I got 5 stars, Sue says, because there was direction. Okay. What was the most valuable thing that you can take home with you today?
If no one steps in, I'll definitely add some value, but after, if we don't have anyone else.
Okay. Great.
I guess for me, I want to see, I keep going back to the number 4 after the clarity. I mean, everyone knows, or at least I know what my voice is. It's bringing it from air to earth. The why, I will need to clarify that. So that gave me more to look into. The values definitely was something that I missed in my thinking. But what hit home for me is
Excuse me, Sue. So sorry to interrupt. I'm having some background noise, so the audio is not as clear as I'd love to hear what you're saying. Is that just? Oh, I think it just went. So perfect. Go for it. Thank you.
Sorry about that. I'm in a different room now. What I liked, as I was saying in the beginning, I have a passion. You know, what was that passion? That's actually coming from the soul. So that gave me finding my why. I'll define more of it. What helped, the direction you gave, Noelle, was what are my values? Values came to me way back when, but I never put it down on paper. So now I can really have, this is a perfect guideline. But what hit home for me was the attitude of service. It kind of like put everything together for me, and I'm really, really, really excited because I just started to put down on paper what it is I want to do with cooking. And when you said about coaching, maybe that will come, a little bit down the line once I get my foot on the ground with the cooking. So why I gave you 5 stars is because of your package, your experience of what little you shared, and also the call that we did, the discovery call that I took advantage of, gave me a lot of insights of what I want to do and how I want to go forward. This call just put it all together. That is why I gave the 5 stars, because I see value in it. I also had aha moments that I didn't have before. So thank you. You and I will be talking.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that, Suze. Thank you for sharing. I believe anyone else wanted to share their why they gave the 5 or anything else they got from this that they would like to share. So Cecile just said, how to look at experience from Darwin. This is same as to what is one of the most important things I can take home, that every experience really depends on how one views it.
Yeah, and that depends on how you experience it also. Yeah.
Yeah, it like takes the judgment out of it, right? That sticky stuff, right? Thank you, Anna Marie. She said 4 for her too. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, so the session, the program has concluded at 9:30. You're more than welcome to stay. Noelle will be staying around for another 30 minutes. So if you have any questions, she'll be happy to answer them. But thanks so much again for being here.
Yeah, I mean, this is exciting. The talk, I definitely got a lot of clarity from this. Anyone else want to share and what clarity they received? Any aha moment? Even if it's something that you're like, oh, I've been looking for this. And Noelle was able to articulate that for me to understand it. You can definitely share if you feel comfortable.
Or if I can clarify anything further, I'd be happy to do so.
I'd like to ask the audience again, in terms of fulfilling your soul purpose, where do you feel you might need assistance? Could you let us know? And while they're thinking about it, Noelle, can you give us an idea of what kind of assistance you've had to offer to people who are having difficulty finding their soul purpose or fulfilling their soul purpose?
Okay, yeah. First, we start off with a soul purpose session. So this is really a session wherein we sit down, and it's a one-on-one, wherein we to talk about like all of this, but specifically geared towards you. And from there on, we also craft a unique strategy in terms of like what do you want your brand to look like, and what do you want to convey. And then from there we can do many different things. Some of them we could craft a logo for you, we can craft a whole brand guide, we can help you craft your communication strategy or build your website even. And this all stems from, and it's meant to stem from that particular session wherein we really clarify what you want, and to look for the unique way that we can position your passion, your skill, whatever it is, into the world. So it always will be very, very unique because you're unique. And when we're building a brand is always an expression of yourself, like, I mean, and of your sole purpose. It can be that, and it could be so that the brand personality is something that you really resonate with. The brand values are so as well, and all of this will later be crafted into a unique strategy to communicate it through many different channels, through different mediums, and such.
I see. So branding your soul purpose is about crafting a strategy.
Well, branding your soul purpose is really about getting in touch with your soul purpose, and then forming a cohesive brand around that. And that also involves the message that you have to bring to the world, and that can be done through the brand. And therefore there is some strategic things and to consider when we're putting out that message, because of course we want to make sure that it reaches the right people, that it can connect, and that we're using maybe the right channels, and so on and so forth. Obviously, this is always going to be very distinct, as we want it to be as unique as you, and in a way that you're very comfortable with as well.
Okay, question. how can you help someone if how does your service or branding your sole purpose assist people in contacting the right people or reaching the right people? How do you do that? I mean, through copyright or through distribution, networking? Can you give us an idea more or less?
Well, it's really about clarifying your message. And a lot of the times, lack of clarity also stems from not being clear within. And when your message is muddled, then this isn't also understood by others. So it really does stem from first clarifying it within and then communicating in a way that it's very clear and it's distinct. So there are some marketing, methodologies that we can put in so that it is understood, that it does reach the right people. In terms of like contacts and things like that, sure, if I do know anybody, I'd be happy to connect. But it's really more about clarifying your message so that people that you don't know, maybe people in another country even, can resonate with your message because they're your audience, because that's exactly what they're looking for.
Okay. Question again, if I may.
Sure.
Let's say I'm interested in hiring you for a consultant. What commitment would you need from me as a client or customer?
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, the commitment to really to hone in on your purpose and to really live it, so that, because it's really important to me that it's one of integrity, like that you are actually living it in your life, because then you want to build a brand or a business that is in integrity with your truth. And aside from that, it would be to put in the necessary time to hone that skill, to basically concretize this, and to have that mindset of like, I can do this, and I'm willing to do this with a positive outlook, and from a place of detachment, like just really enjoying the process. And yeah, I think that's the main thing. I'd be happy to support in any which way.
Okay. I'm, if other people are not, feel free to pipe in and ask your questions.
Yeah, I have a question about the branding part. I think that's super exciting that you create like a whole branding package. You said like logo and all that. So in terms of like creating, so it sounds like this, you offer like multiple, is it a package that you offer, or is it a one-time consultation, or how do you package your sessions or your consultation, or is that just depending on the service that you pick?
Definitely all of the services will start with a sole purpose session, although this is something that can be done on its own as well, just to get clear and to pretty much get clear. But any other service whether it's like brand forming the brand, creating a brand identity, or creating like say website, or crafting a communication strategy, that will always start with a sole purpose session. So that's just a more in-depth session, and later on, of course, I'm available to just speak with throughout the way. I do work with a team that puts together a lot of the things, like a website, the other, like the design, the graphics. So I also communicate with them.
Oh, that's great. Awesome. So you have a team that you work with. And so it looks like you offer like the full 100, like the website development. So I don't even have to worry about that website development. What about the copywriting? Is that something that you also, does your team provide that, or you just provide the messaging and then, and then I have to write it or get someone else to?
So we can do as much as like maybe provide the guide and, the niche on which to, and basically, like I mentioned, the content pillars. So that's just a guide. So that's just like a strategy kind of document. Apart from that, we're also working on our side to really start to build like an ongoing communication strategy so that we can actually do this. So I'm doing this for myself, but later on, I think I can start to do that for other people as well. So it's the ongoing one. So that's social media, email, and all the other different channels.
That's cool. Yeah, I saw your social media and I thought it was really cool. I thought it was refreshing and vibrant, and I could see you communicating your brand and your values there. So I could see how true to that you are. So that's cool.
Thanks.
Welcome.
Noelle,
Hi, Tony Ann. Hi,
sorry.
Noelle.
Go ahead,
I,
Manette.
I am sorry.
Go
Kim,
ahead,
are
Manette.
you done?
Go ahead.
Sorry. I was just so immersed into thinking about what really caught my attention and gave me so much value today. And that was when you were articulating follow your bliss, because you so exude it.
Mhm.
And I am so enrolled when I see you saying that, because it's like you've stumbled into a gem. Because often it's really up and down, even when we're in our hobbies or things we love, we're doing it, and yet there's something there inside that sort of pulls us down, or like an overcast sky, even when we do what we love. And what I saw in you as you were talking, my, Noel stumbled on something. You were able to like break through your overcast sky. And when you said follow your bliss, it really gave me so much value. And when you linked it to like just keep on looking in the things that you do, in your thoughts, those things, because your soul is giving you a clue to what gives you joy. And when you worked with your body, you can feel the joy, not necessarily immediately from the heart, but perhaps your body wants to stand up, urging you to do something and following that. So that trail of bliss that's working through your body and thoughts and heart is just amazing. And what was as the reason why I asked how it was like for you, is that it seems that if you follow the trail, and using the words of Darwin and Cecil when they said connecting the dots, um, it seems like when you connect the dots, you see some form or shape, right? Like a design. So it's like designing your source of bliss. So I wonder if we can spend more time on that. I don't know, in touch base on it again, connect with it again in the next session or during a discovery call, because it's like designing a farm or designing your garden or designing your landscape. Here it's like following the contours and the dots, connecting it together, and designing your soulscape. So I'm so drawn into that, because perhaps some of the questions and worries that I have later as to what I'll do with them will just come flowing to me the moment I'm able to follow the dots and see what contours or shapes or designs emerge from that. And that is something I'd like very much to do with you, because I feel safe, I feel awesome in the energy that you bring in to the bliss that you've been talking about. So thank you, Noelle. And that's something I look forward to, if that's possible, in the discovery call.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for that. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Noelle, can you give me a picture of what the difference is when a person, let's say, goes to the route of no branding of sole purpose, and what kind of results would that person get? And what kind of results would a person get if they were to go the route of branding their sole purpose?
Mhm. I think branding, definitely you can do any activity and that can bring you joy, and that in itself is wonderful. I think branding comes into play when you want it to really start to take a form and shape on its own, separate from yourself. And this is something that people, it's something that people can see, experience, and in a way it starts to become like a separate entity that has its own relationship with people, and it has its own it can have its own audience, and it can have, and basically I'm saying that you can use brand as a vehicle for that in order to connect with people, to bring it further probably, so that it's not all just um, stuck with your current actions at the present. And it helps bring it into people's minds. Like, think of the most powerful brands. Like, I haven't, there might be big profitable companies, but the ones that come to mind are big brands. And these are brands that have succeeded in forming a unique identity, have maybe like a tagline. Let's say Apple has their tagline, think different. And the founder is a separate person than the brand, and just a tagline, think different, that has resonated with people who maybe have felt a little bit apart, or like an outcast, or who want to think of themselves as like a little bit of a rebel, who want to think of themselves as like innovative. So then it resonates, and in doing so it has attracted its own audience, its own following. And then they're able to put out different products. So actually, no matter what product they put up later on, like that following, they will like it, so it does form. So basically, branding forms a distinct identity in a person's mind, and helps them to remember the message and the services and the product.
That's really cool. I have a question about branding. So for someone that's starting out like completely new with their business, it sounds like you can guide someone from where they are from nothing into something. And so would you recommend someone to start off with branding when they're just starting a business, or when later on when they've started to establish a real business, like they have clients and it's gained traction and it's starting to become its own thing? What's your viewpoint on that?
Definitely, if you're looking at starting a business per se, it would be wise. It would be a good move to really start with branding versus thinking of doing it down the line, just because it already determines the messaging of the brand, how it's communicated. It also determines what our products, what the services that fit in line with what we're talking about, what we're saying. And then that will help attract the right people to the brand and to the business. And versus, actually, when you change the brand midway and the connection hasn't been properly established, people are upset, And I remember this has happened to me. I've had that experience wherein I changed it midway, and I've had people complain, like, what did you do? Like, we so resonated with this and you changed it. Like, it was like I changed, the person in front of them. So, yeah.
If I may ask, what did you change? I'm just curious.
So basically my brand before was on yoga, and from basically it just being about life yoga, I changed it to being like holistic life, mind, body, soul. And that caused a lot of confusion because they were upset. They thought I took out the yoga and they really loved it. So yeah, I didn't know that it had that impact, until I made drastic moves. So actually later on, that should be well thought of and well communicated, because just keep in mind that that's already a relationship that has been established. So it's like a person in itself. Yeah. And of course, when you're just like starting out and you're just honing your skill, that can be done. Although I know some people who already put up their personal brand. So their brand is themselves. And that's also, if they didn't make it a separate entity, they made it about them and made it also clear. It's the same principles.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you for letting me know. We have about 9 more minutes, guys, so feel free to hop on in if you have questions. Oh, go ahead.
Somebody else has a question, go ahead.
Any questions?
Okay, if there are no questions, I have a question. Okay. In digital marketing, it has been said over and over and over that the most important thing about positioning, the most important thing, let's say, when you advertise or you're trying to position yourself in the marketplace, is the copyright. It's not so much the pictures, it's what you say, the words you say. However, there's many of us that are disadvantaged because we don't know how to do good copy. So if we don't know how to do good copy, or the kind of copy that sells, are we disadvantaged, and how can you help with that?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. Definitely in this day and age, they say content is king. So it's a very vastly different way of marketing than just like purely advertising that was more popular in the past. And when I say content, definitely copy is a huge part of it because that's the message. Although I think content is a very broad word for it because I think a lot of it are also videos and graphics and all that it forms the whole like the content in itself. And when you say like sales copy, that definitely is also a skill. So that's something that I've been looking into actually presently. I mean, I like to write, but it's very much so like more creative and more like what I want to say. And obviously sales copy is it's a skill to learn because there are different ways of doing it. So like for myself, I've read a lot about it. I update myself on it. There are also people that you can consult with, that are experts on that topic if you want to, if you want to really invest in that. But on my end, I've pretty much looked at different frameworks on how to bring the story and the copy so that it sells, and how to pretty much position it in a way, because there's so many different marketing strategies, or like different landing page, different page just to sell. So definitely that copy is super important, and we can working with somebody who's an expert in sales copy is something that I've been looking at, and it's also something that I'm updating myself in, because it's always updating. There's always like a more niche way to hone the craft, to put more expertise into every single part. So like definitely has been like a journey. So like at first it's this way, then it's an updated version, then it's an updated version. But yeah, there's sales copy, there's selling pages and all that. Yeah.
Hey, Noelle, we have a question from Darwin. He's asking, yourself has your brand, on quotes, strikes a chord in me. How do you move this kind of branding forward?
Well, first of all, definitely it's to be yourself to the nth degree. So really basically putting yourself out into the world as such. And anytime there's a brand, especially if, like what we talked about, if it's a personal brand, then you're actually a walking, talking version of your, in a way, the idea, your best self, or the most like the best version that you can put forward. And you can definitely make this into a brand by putting together your values, your brand personality, your message, and forming a brand around that, making it a distinct physical mark and communication. And yeah, for sure, it would really just be, I think, how to move this forward would be first and foremost making yourself the best that you can be in any which area. So an expert in this field, or showing up the way you would like your brand as you to show up in the world.
I have a question. You went through the 4 principles throughout the conversation of identifying, following your bliss, knowing your why, clarifying your values, and so on. Did you notice when you go through, in your experience, when you go through that process, do you feel more of a concretizing when you actually do the process?
Mm-hmm.
Is there
Yeah,
more of a concretizing where someone can um, truly more embody the process of branding, one sole purpose?
sure. All of the experiences actually serve to bring out yourself even more. Even if it's like a contrasting experience, maybe it's a challenge or whatever it may be. It may be hard. It actually serves to bring more of yourself out. So they all actually serve a purpose. And when you bring more of yourself out, then you're actually living your purpose more and more and more. So it really does start with yourself. And so yeah, that experiences do help concretize it, and sometimes it also serves as a way to know what you don't want. So, and then that also clarifies the path further. Okay, so I don't want this, then I know now that this is what I want, and then it forms a like a newer direction, or makes it a little bit more concrete in that sense.
Yes. I've noticed when for example, when I see an exercise or anything else, right, and I just read it, I said, okay, that's nice. I can just read it. But actually going through the process and doing it, I've experienced shifts. So I wonder, I'm going to try your exercise that you laid out, or the steps, and see what kind of transformation I go through by actually going through the process. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. I downloaded the book, the ebook. I thought it was super beautiful, by the way. I could see all the brand colors. It's so vibrant and joyful. I'm like, I love it. And I like how you highlighted the fundamental principles in that ebook. I'm going to spend some time going really deep within to identify soul, my values, and really getting concrete on that, and then going through that process and see if you can help me with really concretizing it. And going through that, I think it'll be cool. It's cool when you have someone there who has that big piece, which is the branding, and making that concrete. And it's like now you're like really creating the vessel to express that in the world, and letting that be in alignment with our truth and who we are. And so that's exciting. And so I'm grateful for this, for you, for this call, because now for me and for many other people who couldn't connect the dots, can see how valuable branding is, and how that is what's going to reach the audience and make that impact. Because without the brand, I mean, who are you going to reach out to? Who are you going to connect with, right? Yeah. So it's super important. So I'm happy that I was able to see the importance of branding. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tony Ann.
You're welcome.
Hey, Noelle, I wanted to ask you,
Yeah.
what is your why?
Well, my why, and this has actually spanned like the businesses that I've mentioned, and no matter what the outward activity was. At first it was yoga, it was actually also food, and all of it, and then now we have the branding. I have someone products also, natural products, but always some messaging. And this is what also spurred me forward, had to do with helping others be more aware of themselves and to help them grow in terms of like the consciousness. So obviously that sounds very like, I never really communicated it like that, but it was always done in the brand personality or the brand manner, which is very light, very inspiring. But I have communicated that through the yoga, through food. So with yoga, it was, through the movement, being present, and really cultivating that body awareness and relationship with yourself. And same with the food, being present while eating and taking care of yourself. And same with I guess this branding service, and also with products. So through the use of the products, you're cultivating that relationship and really growing your consciousness, awareness of yourself, and starts from there. Then you can begin to reach out to others in order to light up their life, or so to speak.
Okay.
So to really empower, people to do that as well.
Another thing I'd like to ask you, if you don't mind, is, I've known you for quite a while. I don't know a lot about you, but I've known you for a period of time. So I saw where I met you when you were still had your yoga business, and then now you transitioned to this. Okay. And what I find interesting is that, okay, when you were in your yoga business, you would think that you were doing your soul purpose, right? But that didn't quite work out. And so I was just on the sidelines, observing what you were going through as an outsider. And then, and during that time, I was thinking, I think Noelle I knew you were into branding, but you had not made the connection between branding and soul purpose yet. Mm-hmm. Then all of a sudden, one day, I saw you posted about branding your soul purpose. And I said, bingo, she hit the bullseye. She hit her bullseye. Okay. And the interesting thing was, it was the masters also who brought my attention to your ad, it wasn't an ad, it was a post. And I said, she hit the bullseye. I mean, after that yoga experience, which was wonderful. All of a sudden, you had a period of pain, right, and grieving. So there were months where you were going through grieving, and then all of a sudden, boom, bullseye. And so you hit the bullseye about what your soul purpose was. And so, and so much so, it was such a bullseye that the masters moved me to collaborate with you. Okay. And so I said, what I find interesting and what I'd like to know about, what did you do that you went from something that was kind of like, could be your soul purpose, could be not, it was fun to do anyway, to all of a sudden, you just like focused and you just hit the bullseye like a marksman. How did you get from, something that was not marksmanship to all of a sudden you became a marksman and you hit the bullseye?
Well, first of all, before that, like I had to also check in and say, okay, what happened there with my past experience, right? Definitely there was that's when I came up with find where you're coming from, just because before I felt like when I really did get down to it, I was doing it out of, wanting to, get ahead or to prove myself even. And that really made me unhappy being in that predicament where it was very challenging. Everything was like weighing heavily on me. And so I took that experience and asked myself also, like, what is it that I really wanted to do then? And I remember really wanting to also work with the teachers who were there and wanting to help them brand themselves and to hone their message because they're teaching. And I found out actually I didn't really want to teach the yoga per se, because I was really so much more interested in the concepts and like and in the messaging. And then I took all of the things that didn't really fit there, and then I started to structure it in a way that suited me, suited the lifestyle that I want, suited my specific skills. So it really clarified what I was good at, what I shouldn't be focusing on, and I took that why, I wanted to help empower people to actually make a difference and to share their message. And I realized, okay, well, this is actually, it has been sitting there, I've always thought that I had this degree or like that I studied it, and I just kind of pushed it to the background. So I thought like, okay, well, this is an interesting way and this is a way that I can actually, and something I can do already. So that's how I got to this point, I didn't think of it as bullseye or anything like that. And to be honest, like,
but you hit the bullseye.
Oh,
you know it already, don't you?
No.
Right?
Oh, maybe.
You know it, right? You went from the research and training stage to all of a sudden, boom, I'm doing my soul purpose now. I'm doing my soul mission.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes across when you speak. It's like you're ready. So that's why I'm like wondering, what did you do to get there? Because there's a lot of people who are still in the research and training stage. Mm-hmm. Okay. And of course that's essential to prime people. Mm-hmm. But what did you do or to just all of a sudden become ready and to do your soul purpose and mission?
Well, I think it was just really that decision to like, I want, and to tell myself I'm capable now. Actually, prior to that, I went through I'm like, wow, all of this happened and it was a very, very heavy phase. I was looking at a lot of debt, pieces, it was pretty much like a hole. And I thought, well, where I'm at this point, I can't afford to think negatively. So it was really all about just deciding to shift my perspective and, if anything, use my focus to get out of it. So I'm not saying even that I'm like everything's perfect. It's far from it, but it did take a very big conscious decision on my part, and actually quite a big push to pretty much change my circumstances. And this actually just popped up. Like, I wasn't really sure what to do next, but all I knew was that I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna I need to, you know, something like that. So yeah, and then that idea popped up, and then it just refined further with the sole purpose session. Actually came last because I was like thinking, how can I put in like the coaching element without it being too coachy, you know, and how can I do it in a way that can help people find their brand. So that's how the sole purpose session came about.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, because I watched you
Yeah.
from the outside. I
Yeah.
knew you were going through. You had given me an idea about it, and I'm like, what you were going through was tough. It was painful. I mean, you don't convey that that challenge and that difficulty you were going through now, but I could see. I mean, you had told me a little bit about it, and I said, "Whoa." I'm like, how's she going to get out of this one, right? It was so, you were in a situation where, like many people find themselves in, where you seem to be going out around in circles. How do you get out? You know, and like you mentioned, it's true. It's like you tell yourself so many negative things. You don't realize it's making you go around in circles. You don't realize that the reason you can't see what's in front of you is because of all of the negative self-talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you got out of it. And you just got out of it, and you got out of it and you weren't wandering. You just got out of it and went straight to, I'm doing my soul purpose, my soul mission. I was like, whoa, it's a big transformation. You know, you didn't it's like you weren't lost anymore.
Yeah, well, yeah, thank you. You know, I mean, at this point, I do think I'm still like, you know, at ground zero, still building and still starting things up again. So it's really, really nice to hear that, and I'm glad that you like observed that. But yeah, it definitely was super tough. I mean, it was the toughest ever.
And so
Yeah.
you stand now here as a beacon to others who are going around in circles, who are engaged in negativity. You stand as a beacon here, and you're basically telling people, I got out. Want to join me now where I am? So tell me, what was it like before when you were in the research and training stage of your soul purpose? And what is it like now where you're in your soul purpose, doing your soul mission? What is life like for you? How do you feel about yourself now?
Of the difference. So before, it was super challenging. Like no matter where I turned, a challenge would come up. And this was actually really interesting. So this is related to what we're talking about now, messaging. So I remember when I was trying to save that business before, and things were actually starting to, it was pretty much collapsing, and I was holding it up myself, you know, pretty much. And it was a burden to me. I was starting to get sick and all that. But I remember the turning point because I was trying to launch a communications campaign, and at that point I was very unclear, and I just couldn't get the website to work. And that was it. Actually, months passed. I couldn't get the website to work, and basically that's what caused the final collapse. It really imploded. The business imploded, and after that it was very challenging, right? So I noticed that I was doing things I didn't like to do. I was doing it because I felt like I had to do. I was in a position I didn't want to be in. I felt really stuck. So that's how it felt like. And when it imploded, it was very, very hard. It was actually grief, and that lasted a few months, but for surprisingly, it didn't feel as heavy. So following that, so later on, anything else after that actually felt much, much lighter. And actually that experience served as also, that was a difficult experience that served as a catapult for actually now we're building the websites, and we're actually doing the communication strategies for myself and for others as well. So yeah, so there's a connection there. And right now it does feel way, way lighter. I'm happy where I'm at. Definitely, I don't think I'm there, you know, I'm very far from it, but I'm happy where I'm at, and things flow, you know, like, I mean, you just messaged me about this webinar, and here we are. You know, so it wasn't actually striving. It wasn't actually like a big effort that didn't really have much effect, you know. So actually it was the opposite of that, which was my experience before. So yeah, thank you.
You're exactly right. Things started to flow, right? It was like we just got together, and then the master started to tell me what to do and this and that, and what we were going to do next. And I was like, oh, okay, Noelle is in the flow with this. I mean, you went from like kind of blocked to now flowing.
Yeah, very much.
Awesome.
Well,
and the wonderful thing is you can show other people how to do the same.
Yeah, hope so.
Yeah. You're ready to start building the new future, huh? So what do you think the new future is going to be like after you millennials are done with it?
Yeah, I think especially this age that is coming up is very, very exciting. You know, I mean, there's a huge advance in technology. You know, there's a big burst in actually brands, and people actually, you know, just because of technology, it's very decentralized. So everybody actually has opportunity or to already speak out, share their opinions, and it's heard. You know, so it's not, I mean, compared to before, wherein it's like you had to be maybe a media station or a big newspaper to really broadcast anything. So at this point, it's like starting, I think that's the trend. It's starting to become more and more decentralized, and everybody has like that opportunity. And there's been a huge movement on like personal development and spirituality, and really owning and, you know, healing yourself from the inside out, as to really be the best version of yourself that you can be in the world. So I think it's exciting if it, you know, starts, if that like rises on an upward trend. And I think there's been a huge influx also of people doing what they like especially millennials. They're so into following their passion. They're so into either working for themselves, working from anywhere, and like, or building businesses around it. So yeah, it's exciting times.
Yeah, I'm seeing that. You know, I've been observing the internet and the advertisements and the kind of courses that have been offered for the past year and a half to 2 years. And I noticed, you know, one person would say, you know, I have the formula for success. I'm already earning millions of dollars. And if you just follow my formula, you're going to be successful too. And then I hear another person with a different formula, and he's successful too. And I hear another person with a different formula, and he's successful too. You know, they have like, some people have 3-page funnels. And then there's this guy that says, I have 1-page funnel. And then I started noticing, after like reviewing a lot of them, I said, they all have different formulas and they're all successful. You know, it's not like there's this one formula that you need to be successful in today's marketplace. So I said, this is the perfect time for people to come in, to be successful, to be able to like earn a living out of their passions, and they don't have to be big anymore. They can start out small, isn't it?
Right.
And it's like people like you that come to help out and say, hey, I can help. You know, this is a great time to start.
It is. Yeah, definitely. Like you said, each of them resonated with different people probably also. And it's very much a niche market. So even if it's like really, really niche, there's going to be somebody out there that like can relate to what you're talking about or to your product. So niche market, very good. Yeah.
So now, like if they just like, for instance, like do things sort of right, what's right for them, and I think that's what your service offers, you know, because every person is different, right? They have a different soul purpose, and so here you come and you like sort of like help them figure out what is really the right marketing for them, I guess. Am I correct in saying this, or what is the right branding for them? Then there's a chance really that even somebody who's been a housewife for 20 years can just make it.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, a lot of the times, all of that can be created from the home already. And it's really also figuring out, like, sometimes people just don't see themselves, so they don't recognize how brilliant they are at something, or the aspects of their personality that's like so lovable and that could resonate with so many. I mean, like you said, somebody who's a housewife could maybe take, let's say, her motherly nurturing aspect and form that also into a brand that's so motherly, so nurturing. And somebody halfway around the world would find comfort in that, and in the home cooking idea, and basically that's already putting up your business in that sense, and sharing yourself, and then also sharing, of course, the services that you offer. Yeah.
So you too believe that this is a good time for people to come in, do your sole purpose thing, brand it properly so that people understand your message.
Yeah. Yes, it just helps to clarify it.
Awesome. Well, we've gone a little bit over time, so let's see if anybody else has questions. Or is it just, no, there are other people here still. There's still, okay, half the group is left. So I thought it was just us. Okay, anybody else wants to like answer, ask questions? This is an exciting time for you guys, because it's an exciting time for you to start. The game is changing. The game in the market is changing. And so this is an opportune time for you to come in. So ask your questions. Oh, okay. So any questions? Okay, what are you noticing about changes in the marketplace? Oh, thank you so much for articulating the questions. Andrea said. Yeah, so what else do you want to know? Okay, well, we still have Noelle here. She may go soon. Thank you very much, Noelle, for giving us the extra time. I also want to thank Tony Ann and Felipe for participating. I want to thank Monette, and I want to thank you, the audience, for the success of this talk show. So, do you have any questions, dear audience, from me? I'm gonna turn over the floor to you, Noelle, so you can interact with the 10 people that are left.
Right. Okay, so where is everybody at this stage? So I mean, we haven't really heard enough about you. So at what stage are you in, maybe in your work life? Are you looking at, is this interesting to you, and in what way do you, if any, do you see it taking shape or form? So yeah, I'd really love to hear from you.
Or where are you stuck?
Yeah. If there's anything, that.
Right. Oh. Right. This part of the sharing is, yes, it's being recorded, but this is not going to be distributed for marketing and promotion purposes anymore. So if you want to bring up where you're stuck, go ahead. I'm not going to include it in the recording that we're going to market to the public.
I saw Robert.
But this part is more interesting. Go ahead.
I saw Robert raising his hand.
Go, Robert.
Robert, is that right? I just saw it.
Morning. Yeah, well, it's morning here where I am. Yes, well, oftentimes in the pursuit of your passion, and it comes with challenges, right? And more often than not, it's about resources. When you pursue your passion, you have to have resources, and taking into consideration that if you eventually wanted to turn it to make it abundant so that you can live off it, how do you address, or how do you overcome the challenges of having limited resources in the pursuit of your passion or your sole purpose?
Wow. Yeah, that's really timely, because also that has been also like an experience of mine, and I definitely would say, like, first of all, don't let it stop you. So it's, like, what I've done is like look for a way to really, if it's not that yet, then let it form organically, but look for a way to really, and to earn that resource, right? And to be thankful for that, because also just the fact, like example, if it's a job, then there's things that you're learning also, that that experience is also serving you. So what you know, and be thankful for it, because it's giving you that income, it's giving you that resource, and all the while like looking at it, okay, how can I pretty much take this sole purpose, let's say this passion, and begin to merge it so that this is also becoming abundant for me. And I think it's really important to first cultivate that state of abundance within you. So of course you could do that also by being grateful for any income that's coming your way, for whatever opportunity there is. And there is always any, like if it's not yet in a business form, then it can start from, you know, just working for yourself, maybe being of service to others, or working in that job, and being thankful for that coming in, because then you're already cultivating that state of abundance within you. And then later on, starting to maybe pour a little bit, whatever you can into honing or solidifying this venture. And later on, I think either it will switch organically when the time is right and when you're ready, or you know, it can actually merge. There could be skills and and like aspects of this your current reality that will be a part of the new one, or that purpose itself. And this is actually exactly my experience right now, because I'm also building like small like startup businesses as well. And you know, it's not like full force, because you know, I have to wait until the resources are ready. So it's, but on the bright side, it's also giving me time to really solidify the idea, solidify the structure, and just go at it a little bit slower. And in that sense, we're also building the necessary foundations. So yeah, you know, I hope that answers your question, and I'd be glad to clarify it further if you'd like me to.
Yeah, no, well, you know, what you said is so like important and right on the mark. Many of us start at that point where we're caught in a hamster wheel. We don't have enough resources. We have to do 2 to 3 jobs. How the hell are we going to find time to do our sole purpose, right? And we don't have enough money or resources, like Robert said. And I found myself also in that similar situation many years ago. And it was that time also when the masters started to come to me and say, okay, start doing your sole purpose. And I'm like, what? You got to be kidding. I don't have the money. You know, I don't have the money to do what you guys are asking me to do, you know, and the masters just ignored me. And, you know, so then I said, okay, how do I make this work? And then at that point, I recognized the value of having little monetary resources. I didn't have the money. I didn't have the people, but I had one thing that I did not see before. I had God who gave me superpowers, you know? And so I was forced to rely on my superpowers. The author of Harry Potter went through the same thing. She was waitressing, just trying to make ends meet. Yeah. And her sole purpose started with writing on a napkin, right? And now she is, what's her name? I can't remember her name now, but she's a millionaire, and right? So,
JK.
Yeah, J.K. Rowling, right? She was a waitress, but her lack of resources was what forced her to tap into her inner superpower and write her stories on the napkin, and that became the Harry Potter series. So, you know, that's the kind of bullseye that many people are looking for, Noelle. How can you help people who are in the hamster wheel? You know, like, I know you're partially doing. You're helping people tap into their superpowers. Okay. So how can you help people who are caught in caught in the hamster wheel, don't know what their superpowers are? They're thinking negatively because they think, I don't have enough money. I don't have the people to support me. I don't have anything except myself. And right now that isn't much. What would you say to people like that?
Well, I would say like the first thing to do is really to change the script and to change your script and those thoughts, right? Because when you tell yourself like I don't have it, you're actually, like we talked about intention, and you're saying that you're creating that, and you don't have the people, you don't have the resources, and you're also saying to yourself, I'm not really worthy. And it all starts from there. It all starts, that's why I've been talking also about like your relationship with yourself, because then when you deem yourself worthy, and then you are able to first make the first steps, because you trust yourself in that you can. And I think that mindset is very important in order to move forward, and in order to start attracting the opportunities and the people and all that. So first deem yourself worthy, then then take action. And yeah, don't judge yourself, don't hate your job, because that's also producing negative thought. It's also producing separation, and nothing really great has come out of that. So first it's like, first change your mentality, tell yourself I can, and that I am worthy, I am powerful. Make the necessary steps. So if that entails working in like, let's say, your job for another year, then so be it. Maybe save a little bit, start to scope out, and maybe look beyond it. But do enjoy the process, because things always happen in the right time, and it also just happens when you yourself are ready. So I have actually done it where when I skipped ahead, and that had big and painful consequences. So do take your time, and in doing so, you ready yourself, and you set the proper foundations in whatever you want to build. But in anything that you do, whether it's an outward business and you're trying to build that, it does start from yourself. So do work on just the alignment within yourself, and on feeling and being worthy first, because that is where your inherent power will start to flow from.
Awesome. Yeah. So I guess what I get from that is, if you don't have much resources, you're actually in a good place, right?
Yeah.
You know what that reminds me of, as I was hearing you speak, is like, if you don't have any resources, you gotta be so creative, um, to come up with the solution. So
Yes. And that's what the
that's where you,
creator wants you to do, right?
yeah, right. Because I saw myself in the same boat, looking at sole purpose, but also having to be tied into a 9 to 5 job. So how do I make that work and dedicate that time? And that's when I see that creativity coming out. Um, yeah, and yeah, it's interesting.
Right. So even the opportunity to express your creativity in a job that you don't like actually makes your job quite enjoyable, doesn't it?
Hmm.
While you go through your research and training.
Right.
Hmm. Well, what if you don't have a job?
Right. That's even.
Yeah, I've been there.
That, that propels you even faster, huh?
Mhm.
Felipe, that's true. You don't have a job, you don't have a business, that propels you even faster.
Hmm.
You know what? There's something that I saw in not having. When you don't have a job, it means the universe opened up your time. And it struck me what Kim was saying when she said that, well, you were given superpowers, and you can come from that. And by superpower, I meant what it is that you came here for, what you've been training for. And then I just saw, because in my case, I just finished a job and I'm in between jobs, and I was just saying, what am I gonna do next? I need to earn every month because I just lost my monthly income. And it created a space for me, um, Felipe, because while I was having an 8 to 5 job, my problem was not having time, not having time to do that which I wanted. So now that I have the time, suddenly, oh my gosh, what do I do with my time? And so being the sole purpose, and coming from, I have more time now to follow my bliss and to do what I'm passionate about. And what I've just left, again, Noelle was correct. I've been trained. I've been trained on so many things. I was able to create a lot of network. So there's a purpose for why it's now a period. The job is done. So all I need to do is to follow that. And immediately when I went into that, so all the things that were coming to me like clouds and everything. So that is something that I'm doing to myself. So what can I do that it is talking to me, telling me to get on with? And so I started to clear the cloud because I was the one causing the cloud. So clear it with God. And once I was doing those steps, suddenly the clouds clear up. And guess what? It's like people start coming and people are start coming to ask me to do my job. And then when I do that, the flow of abundance starts to come in. So, so one way of looking at not having a job is that the God in us just created a clearing for us, a new space, a new canvas, because we were done with whatever lessons we needed to get from the other. And so get our acts done, get my house in order, clear my house, and start being the bliss and start fulfilling what I'm here to. And just take one step. And the moment one step, the clearing opens up new ways and new connections and new contacts. And then abundance just happened. That just reminded me when you mentioned that. So thanks for that reminder.
Thanks, Manette. Robert, are you raising your hand?
Oh, sorry, I'm no longer raising my. How do I unraise my hand?
Oh, okay.
Claudine has a comment here.
Go, Claudine.
I was just like listening to the stories, yours, Noelle's, and looking at my. It's like it seems like there's a reason why I and like other people go through the ringer and go through the doldrums and then just come out the other side. It makes one more creative and tapping into that internal resources, as you were all saying.
Well, it's a push, that's for sure. It's a hard push. Although I think, yeah.
If you don't mind, Noelle, what was your push? I mean, you don't have to answer that if it's really private, but I was just wondering, what was your push, or who kicked you?
In which part?
You said like through the process as you were getting before you were going to your soul purpose. You mentioned something about like there was also a big push, or I think somebody gave you a kick or something. I don't know.
Yeah, my push, it's like, I guess like the circumstances did. Well, if it's regards to me, then in my old business, of course it was very challenging. I learned a lot about what I wanted, what I didn't want, and then when that collapsed, everything collapsed with it. So I was also left in like a hole with a lot of debt. And I could have stayed there and just felt sorry for myself. And it did take a while also, but it was really just that this was not, while I was like, okay, this is where I'm at, it was not like the best place to be at, so it was a push to, to get things moving and to step forward in another direction. And, all that experience, of course, also I felt like kind of brought out things in me that I never knew were there. So it did give me like a more compassion towards myself and like towards others as well. And just a big better understanding on a lot of things, whether it's business things, people, and perspective. So while that was in a way, in those words, a big push, because in that sense I didn't really have, well, I guess I did have a choice to just like sit there and feel sorry for myself, but it was really a push to make things better in terms of my experience. Although I don't think people have to wait for that in order to make a change, because knowing it already, it is possible to, in that sense, connect with your own sunshine and to look for that consciously, so that you don't need to wait for a big challenge or a difficult experience for that to be brought out. So like right now, I prefer that, nothing of that challenge again happen in that magnitude again happens. So I consciously seek to better myself and to, basically learn and grow already as it is, and to deal with anything that is coming up by being more self-referred, and to actually everything that you're experiencing comes from you, because you're actually the creator. You're actually you're creating it, actually consciously or unconsciously. So if something comes up, whether it's like a minor issue, then I refer back to myself and see what in me is creating that before it becomes like a giant mess. so that's yeah.
Hey, Noelle, I wanted to ask you a question. You're not prepared for this, but I'm just curious, okay? What if Jesus Christ existed today and he's already like in his, let's put him at his mid-30s? He knows his sole purpose. Okay, and of course it's a different time. This is the age of technology, not the caveman age, or not the age of the golden calf and Solomon. Okay, so it's Jesus Christ today. If he were to come to you for branding, sole purpose branding, what would you say to him for starters?
Yeah, first of all, like why do you want to do this? What's your purpose in doing this? And what exactly is it that you want to put out in the world? So what is the difference that you'd want to make? And yeah, and who, basically your why, your purpose. And
he would answer, of course, I'm all about love and oneness and humanity and universal Christ consciousness and all of that. How do I sell that to people? How do I position that in today's marketplace? This is quite relevant to a lot of people who want to do their sole purpose, because that's a spiritual theme.
Yeah, something like love.
Christ, right. Jesus Christ would face the same questions that we're all facing right now.
And I think like all of us have that also within us, and we're all like different sparks of that same energy, right? So, but also our uniqueness is what makes us different. So let's say it's a common goal like love and spreading that, then we start to figure out what is the unique way that we can kind of crystallize it in the form of an image, and basically who do you want to talk to, who do you want to impart this message to, and from there we can begin to craft it, like because love can be done in so many different ways and can be communicated in so many different ways. So for example, like Jesus Christ, so like he likes to speak, then that would be his main medium, right? It would be speaking. So maybe he could be a speaker. Excuse me. Like a speaker, and his brand could be one that's very let's say light and very inspiring, and maybe healing could be a very big part of his brand, and he could be talking about the power of miracles, and maybe like how it's possible to expect that every day. So then we'd craft that and basically crystallize it into like a logo, or like something more tangible, so that people can really relate to what the love is saying, because then it can be communicated in so many ways, whether it's action or speaking or cooking, or like that.
Mm-hmm. And maybe if like you branded it right, he wouldn't be crucified today, right?
Right. I mean, I guess the crucifixion can also be like if he was already resurrected, then it's part of the story. It's like it's a trial. It's it's challenge, and it would be part of an inspiring message for people. I mean, just not to take it so literally in that sense.
Oh, well, here's another interesting question. Would you recommend luxury branding to Jesus Christ?
Yeah, that's really interesting, because like the whole concept of luxury branding is actually creating an aspirational brand or an image. So this was mainly applied to luxury brands, which can be thought of as the antithesis of like spirituality, right? But basically, it's to create in a brand traits and personalities that people would like to see in themselves, but maybe haven't fully owned in themselves. So you'd see that in like, maybe think of luxury brands like Gucci, you know, very sexy, very upscale and something like that. And I think without focusing on like the materialism part of it, it is an aspirational state. I feel like a lot of people are looking for maybe, let's say, happiness or love and joy, and that is an aspiration. Like I would like to be more joyful, but at the moment, like I'm not there. So I think the concept, the principle of luxury branding can be used without resorting to the very materialistic side of it, since it's mostly used in commercially to promote like shoes and bags and things like that. But yeah, so basically to build in, you know, love and maybe in that state, but saying also that that's something that you have already within you, and you can cultivate that in order to become like a more like the best version of yourself. So in that sense, I guess it is still possible to integrate the aspirational state of luxury brands.
Really, I've never seen an aspirational luxury ad, but it's interesting to know that there is that possibility. Claudine was asking, how do you ground those principles? Because Jesus could be a book author, and so you mentioned about, like, you know, branding Jesus Christ. And let's say if you were to be a book author, how would you ground those principles? I think that's what you want to ask, Claudine, right?
Right. Yes. So basically, you're saying like, okay, his message is love, and maybe let's say principally love. Then it would also be okay. Let's look at Jesus and say, what is his skill? What does he love to do? Maybe he liked to write, or maybe he really liked people. You know, he really was very good at getting people to follow him, or, you know, getting his disciples. So that's one thing to leverage on, and like the brand can actually be built around that, making a tribe. You know, basically, a tribe is basically just a group of people, a community. And he could have first his inner members, and that's where he gives his teachings to first. And these inner members will be attracted to him because first and foremost, he puts himself forward and says like, this is what I'm doing. This is my message. This is what I'm about. And you know, this is what I do. So then people can start to come around him, and if they really resonate with his vision and with his why, and they really resonate with that call of love, then they will also spread a message, right? So that's, I guess, Jesus in the day and age, like, you know, maybe writing books, maybe with his inner circle, his tribe leaders, and maybe speaking, maybe he's invited to public events and such. So yeah. Or maybe he's doing webinars.
I think he would do webinars today. Yeah. You can reach more people that way, right?
He'd be on YouTube, right?
He would love to talk.
Do you think he would, honestly?
Yeah, why not? I mean, and in that sense, his message also can reach, you know, further than his immediate vicinity.
Yeah. Because I would think, I know he knows his sole purpose, but he probably would, like, if he were here today, he would probably, like, you know, he could use some help. He could use your help.